We saw those emotional tributes played to the murdered British MP Sir David Amess in Parliament in the UK yesterday, and it got us thinking here in the newsroom what protections are in place for other MPs across Europe. Well, joining me here in the studio is Alessio Delana and Eloise Ervoy, who've been looking at the situation in France and Italy. Eloise, let me start off with you. What protections are in place for elected representatives in France?
Well, getting in touch with your MP here in France Talks is fairly easy and pretty much works the same as in the UK. One can write or telephone to their MP's office and make an appointment at his or her constituency surgery. Now, contrary to ministers, French MPs do not have bodyguards, except if there are repeated and serious threats against them. But episodes of violence with angry constituents are not rare. 60 members of parliament have been assaulted in 2020 alone, according to the French Interior Minister. And more recently, a constituency surgery of an MP was set on fire at night when it was empty, and that was in relation to his position in favor of the COVID health pass here in France and vaccination for teenagers. So what happened in the UK, the tragic murder of Sir David Amess, could happen in France one day as well, which is why several politicians are speaking out against the violent behaviors that they increasingly face, because in fact there has been a rise of 23% of physical attacks on local politicians, so mayors and MPs, between 2019 and 2020. And last April, a law was introduced to implement more severe and dissuasive sanctions against those who assault official representatives here in France.
Okay. Alessio, let me turn to you now. How is it for people to freely access their elected representatives in Italy?
On the contrary, it is quite difficult for voters to access MPs in Italy. Most MPs tend not to host regular meetings with them, but rather meet their voters at rallies or other public events. Nonetheless, the number of politicians under police protection in Italy is quite high. We're talking about 82 politicians, according to the latest data we have, which dates back to 2019. And we saw a number of attacks against MPs over the past few years, for example, against opposition leader Matteo Salvini or the now health minister Roberto Speranza. And we all remember, for example, former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi badly wounded by an object thrown at him in 2009. However, where the picture is most worrying is at the local level, where we do not just see threats or assaults, but killings. And the threat does not seem to be going down. In the first 6 months of this year, Italy registered 369 episodes of intimidation or violence towards local authorities like mayors or councillors, and that's already 15% up over last year. What's interesting to note, Talks, is that when we talk about violence at a national level, so against members of parliament, we're likely to talk about a lone attacker with a political or ideological motive. Whereas when it comes to violence at the local level against local authorities, well, the reason is often linked to organized crime.